Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Walker with the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody here to our Overland Park City Council Ward 5 Forum featuring our candidates Alexandria Washington and Andrew Payne. Welcome to both of you. Let me just go over a few little things before we get into our actual forum. Today's forum is hosted by the Johnson County Public Policy Council, which is a collaborative effort of the 10 chambers of commerce here in Johnson County, representing more than 5,000 area businesses. In addition to forums such as this, we also conduct voter education efforts that are posted on our website, www.votejoco.com. And I've already introduced Alexandria and Andrew. And ground rules for today: each candidate's going to have 2 minutes for their opening statement. After their opening comments, we'll work our way through our questions, alternating who answers first. All questions were written by the Public Policy Council, and we will not be taking questions from the audience. And so we're going to get rolling here. Right before we started, we drew numbers, and Andrew is going to go first. So I'm going to open things up with Andrew. If you'd like to start with your opening statement, that'd be great.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I want to say good afternoon to everyone, and thank you to the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event. My name is Andrew Payne, and I'm running to represent Ward 5 in Overland Park on the City Council. Overland Park is a special place to me. It's not just a place where my family lives, it is a place where we have chosen to put down our roots. My wife Heather is an elementary school administrator right here in the Blue Valley School District. And this right here in Ward 5 in the heart of Overland Park is where we've chosen to raise our young son Henry. And we want Overland Park to be a great place where he can be proud to live for years to come. Professionally, I'm the Vice President and General Counsel for a local financial services firm that's headquartered right here in Overland Park. And in that role, I've had that balance growth with accountability, and most importantly, I've had to bring people together to get results. I've also been active in my community as a neighborhood leader, to serve on my HOA board, and I'm a proud graduate of Leadership Overland Park. My vision for Overland Park is simple. I believe in an Overland Park where families can feel safe in their neighborhoods. I believe in an Overland Park where businesses can have the confidence to invest and to grow. And I believe in an Overland Park where people at every stage of life can find a home that fits their needs. Achieving this vision, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take accountability that we're going to balance with that growth. And we need to have growth that delivers on the basics and that puts community first. And in conclusion, I think that leadership on the City Council comes down to one question. And that question is, can your neighbors count on you? And I think I can bring thoughtful and accountable leadership to City Hall so that Overland Park remains one of the premier cities in the country to live. And with that, I would be honored to earn your support. Thank you.
Alexandria, 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. Happy Monday. I just want to also say thank you to the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce for having us here today to participate in this forum. My name is Alexandria Washington, and I am running for Overland Park City Council in Ward 5. I've been a resident in Overland Park for 25 years. My family and I moved here right before I started freshman year of high school at St. Thomas Aquinas. And I remember when we moved here, we moved at 143rd and Quivira, and that was kind of the edge of civilization as we knew it. And so to have lived in Overland Park for the past 25 years and seeing the economic development and the growth and just the course and path that Overland Park has taken shape has really been something special to behold. And as I've gotten older, I've been looking for ways to get more involved in the community. That has truly given me so much. Education and professionally, I went to Avila University and got my master's in organization development. I also went to K-State and have a master's in financial planning and financial therapy. So again, part of the reason why I'm trying to step up and bring the community forward is I haven't seen anyone that looks like me that has ever served on the Overland Park City Council, and I think that Overland Park is heading in the right direction, and to hopefully really be part of moving that needle forward and being a different, diverse voice at the table.
Thank you both for those opening comments. We're going to transition to our questions. Just a reminder, you each have 2 minutes to answer each question. First one, we're going to start with you, Alexandria. As a candidate, what are your top 3 policy issues?
So my core platform centers first with working in the wealth management industry. I work in corporate woods as director of operations at a wealth management firm. And so financial security for families is truly one of kind of my benchmarks. It looks like every time you look at your dollar, it is not being stretched in the way that it used to. Our dollars just don't go as far. And so hopefully it's being a part of policy implementations and strategic planning to ensure that families in Overland Park can stay financially secure and grow and continue in making their home here in our amazing city. I also advocate for inclusive governance. Like I said, I haven't seen someone that looks like me on the city council, but it's not just about that. It's also about having a level of transparency with local government. Local government is kind of where the sauce gets made. And so I really want to encourage residents, my neighbors, my friends, my family to really start paying even more attention to what's going on with our local government, because that's what affects our day-to-day lives. And then my third priority that I really would like to focus on is just keeping our neighborhoods safe. With the amount of growth that Overland Park has seen in the last even just 5 years, with more people becomes almost sometimes a strain on our current resources. So it's ensuring that things like our police department stays strong, our first responders, if you dial 911, you immediately get an operator. The services that our tax dollars pay for, I want to continue to ensure that that works for our current residents.
Andrew, same question to you. What are your top 3 policy issues?
Well, I've got 3 issues I want to talk about, but ultimately they boil down to keeping Overland Park a place where families can thrive and businesses can succeed. So my 3 priorities really flow from that. And the first one is what I like to call acing the basics. We need to be getting an A+ on all of the basic core services that the city provides. That's fast fire response, fast emergency response, making sure the police department is fully funded, and making sure the police department is fully staffed, which has not been as easy. It's easier said than done. So these are the core issues. If we are not absolutely delivering A+ service on these essential services, then we shouldn't be focusing on anything else. So what I'm talking about here is A+ on those basics. Number 2 is a strong economy and smart development. We need to have a strong economy and build a strong economy so we can support our quality of life. We need to create an environment where businesses can come in and provide high-paying jobs. And we've had some success in this city in the past, but it's all about growth, and it's all about finding those new jobs for the next generation that are high-paying. And those high-paying jobs and those businesses that we bring in are important because it keeps the tax base low and keeps our quality of life high. And last is a concept I like to call having Overland Park be a place to call home forever. Whether you're a young professional, whether you're a working family, whether you're an empty nester or a retiree, there's got to be a place for you to find a place to live and to thrive. There are other communities that really say we can't focus on all of those cohorts. We've got to be a community where we focus on all of them. So this is a place that you can call home forever. So together with all of these priorities, I want to keep Overland Park one of the best places to live, for you to have your business here, and for you to grow your family.
For our next question, Andrew, we'll start with you for the first response. What are your views on the services and value the city's citizens receive for their local tax dollars?
Thanks, Kevin. I really do believe that Overland Park has set a pretty high standard in terms of the value, the bang for your buck, what we're talking about here, in terms of the tax dollars that it brings in. There may be other communities that are grumbly about the efficiency, but I think Overland Park really has the gold star, really has the gold standard in terms of the value that's being provided. there are core expectations that our citizens in Overland Park expect to be met. We've talked about these a little bit. We're talking about safe neighborhoods, well-maintained roads and parks, reliable city services. But this is no time to rest on our laurels. This is the time we need to be focusing on those core services. But we need to do that by focusing on efficiency. We need to be focusing on accountability. Those are two critical elements to delivering that core value. We need to have disciplined budgeting and avoid waste. And by focusing on these essentials, we can preserve what is special about Overland Park and really be able to provide that bang for your buck.
Alexandria, same question for you. What are your views on the services and value the city's citizens receive for their local tax dollars?
Yeah, there's definitely a reason why Overland Park ranks consistently as one of the best top places to live in the country. We have safe streets, safe neighborhoods. We have 83 parks for families to enjoy. We have great emergency response systems. And so it's keeping that infrastructure strong, especially as we head into the future. And Overland Park, again, is growing. It's on a continued growth spurt, shall we say. And so it's ensuring that those services get maintained in a fiscally responsible way. As these new developments come in, you often see an increase in traffic, right? I had a resident reach out to me with one of my surveys, and they said, the traffic at 135th and Antioch has just gotten awful. And so it's just looking at the services that we provide, but ensuring that it keeps up with the trend of the growth as well. And I think that definitely begins with balancing the residents' quality of life with the basic needs. But again, we do have the best bang for your buck. We truly live in one of the best places in the country.
Alexandria, we'll start this next question with you. What changes, if any, would you like to see in the city's budget?
There was the 2026 budget that had just recently got approved, and I am not saying there's any huge, big line ticket items that need to be erased or wiped out, but I think I'd like to see almost more transparency with the budget. I think right now what I see when I speak with residents when I'm out canvassing, there's this level of conversation of, well, I didn't know this, or I didn't know why this. And so it's not that anything in the budget would actually need to be adjusted or changed, but more transparency with the current residents of why the budget shapes out to be the way it is. I think that just opening up levels and channels of communication. If you go to the Overland Park City Government website, all the information is there, but it's trying to kind of bridge that gap in making politics and government a little less scary or more accessible. I think that there's a way to do that, and I think serving on the city council is a way to bridge that gap and explain to our friends, family, and neighbors of why the city makes the budget decisions that they do.
Andrew, same question to you. What changes, if any, would you like to see in the city budget?
The budget recently did come out, and it was pretty impressive in terms of the presentation here, but I do have things that I would suggest here. I think the budget should, emphasize those core services as I've been talking about. We're talking public safety, infrastructure, economic growth, economic revitalization. Those things I think need to be focused on in the budget. And we're talking about budget, we're talking about dollars, but I think that in terms of dollars, what are the two limited resources that a city has? It is dollars and it is time as well. So in terms of what the city should be focused on and what the city should be spending its money on, it really is those core services that a city needs to be providing and that the citizens have high expectations on. Beyond those core services, I really do think that we should be focusing on long-term planning. We have an opportunity to look at some of these future issues and handle them early. I don't believe in deferring costs, because deferred costs only end up with higher costs later on. And if we want to have fiscally sound budgets in the future, we've got to be focused on those future issues as well. So I don't believe in deferring costs, I believe in handling them now. We also need to carefully evaluate new spending. When new spending pops up, I'm not saying it's absolutely bad, but it absolutely has to be evaluated with, with detail and with some particular analysis to make sure that that new spending, has the value for the taxpayer. So I believe in strong fiscal discipline, and I believe that in order for Overland Park to stay competitive and attractive to businesses and family friendly, we've got to have those core focuses in the budget.
Andrew, we'll start this next question with you. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
I think that the city should be an active but balanced partner in economic growth in terms of bringing economic activity to the city. So I think that, the first step really isn't necessarily being out there and trying to recruit and trying to do incentives and this and that, but really it's setting the stage. It's setting this infrastructure, setting the conditions for success for the business community, and that's providing reliable infrastructure. That's providing a competitive tax environment. That's providing a streamlined permitting process. So when someone's wanting to come to Overland Park, they're not going to have to deal with a bunch of red tape. They're going to be treated fairly, and they're going to be able to do business, in a way that they can thrive. Beyond that, in terms of public-private partnerships, I think that public-private partnerships are a useful tool if done responsibly. So in the event public-private partnerships come up, it's going to have to deal with some heavy scrutiny on my part to know that this is a project that can be, go forward with. Like I said, I believe it's a tool. It is not the only tool, but it could be a valuable tool if the analysis is done right. And there's a clear return of value to the taxpayer. But I believe that growth should enhance and protect the neighborhoods, the community neighborhood characters. And so we should, grow beyond what we're capable of providing. So I think that the city should be, that active, balanced partner. And I believe in those smart partnerships to keep Overland Park, a top destination for employers and a top destination for families.
And Alexandria, same question to you. What role, if any, do you believe the city should play in economic development to bring jobs and capital investment to the community?
I definitely think that we do need to not necessarily prioritize, but it should be a focus of the city to keep moving the needle forward with economic development. I feel like the city should kind of set the vision and the rules of growth to keep Overland Park thriving, which that to me includes balancing opportunity with responsibility and ensuring that we stay fiscally responsible. So not anti-growth, but moving forward strategically, and what that means and what that growth looks like for current and future residents and businesses. I think that the council should ensure that projects are fiscally sound and support small businesses while also, again, building upon that transparency in the community. And so it should reflect the voices of the community. And I think, again, that just opens up the lines of communication with what is coming down the pipeline. And I definitely agree with looking at future planning. Again, it's that strategic vision and not just growth for growth's sake, but does it improve the lives of our residents in Overland Park?
You both have touched on growth a little bit. We're going to dig a little deeper with this next question, and Alexandria, you'll start. As the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, describe your views on how the city should best manage and balance this growth.
Again, Overland Park is just so amazing to have lived here for over 2 decades and really seen how fast it seems like stuff grows, right? But Overland Park, the last few years especially, has been extremely strategic in the growth. They have implemented Framework OP, there's the new budget. So it is smart planning and not just expansion for expansion's sake. But again, I think that growth should definitely align with the long-term vision of the city and something that balances housing with businesses, with also keeping in mind environmental issues and keeping green spaces green. Again, we have amazing parks in Overland Park. And so to me, managing growth also doesn't mean changing the fabric of Overland Park. We love Overland Park. We have chosen to live here. We want to live here forever, and there is definitely a reason for that. And so looking at the growth, you just don't want it to impact the very fabric of what makes Overland Park so special, but that's also ensuring that new development fits within existing communities and maintains our current high quality of life, but that also brings into supporting a mix of housing that's affordable for families, young professionals. I work in wealth management, so I work with older clients. It's ensuring our seniors continue to have a high quality of life. And so growth can be a great thing, but you don't want to just grow for growth's sake.
Andrew, same question. As the city considers future development and redevelopment projects, describe your views on how the city should best manage and balance this growth.
You know, I think my core tenet on answering this question is that the growth must reflect the community needs. And so I think that, as we're dealing with these issues, balance is going to be the key. We're going to need to balance growth with community need, with neighborhood preservation. We don't want to grow too fast to lose what makes Overland Park special. Development should absolutely align with the infrastructure capacity that we have, that we plan to have, and add long-term value to the community. And you mentioned just development, but I think that also importantly is redevelopment. There are a lot of corridors in this city, and there's a lot of corridors in Ward 5 specifically that you can see, like, okay, this was a great project maybe 30 or 40 years ago, but it's going to be, it's going to need some redevelopment in the future. And if we let some of these corridors, some of these neighborhoods, or some of these little retail corridors, go down, it's going to bring down the quality of life and bring down, sort of how people, think about Ward 5. So development is key, and redevelopment is also key. But as we're doing development and redevelopment, and we're, considering balance, we're considering the infrastructure, the thing that most importantly we need to do is engage residents in how that development progresses. I think that that's step one. So whether we're going to do this big project, I think without bringing residents along with us in terms of those decisions, in terms of how that growth develops, we're not going to have any success. So bringing residents along with us as we attempt to deal with some of these issues on redevelopment, on development. But I think with thoughtful planning and good fiscal discipline, the Overland Park can grow without losing what makes us special. So I think that there's a lot of nuanced thing there, but I think that if we engage our residents and we do it in a smart way, we can be really successful.
With our next question, we'll start with you, Andrew. What is your philosophy on the role the city should play in terms of metro area issues?
Sure. When I hear metro area issues, it can mean a lot of different things, but to me it means, a couple different things. It means public safety, it means transportation, and it means economic development. I think one of the key projects that we can see that this has happened is Highway 69. Highway 69 cuts right through Ward 5, and I think that without engaging in lots of different partners on Highway 69, it wouldn't have been a successful project. You've got KDOT, you've got the wards to the north, you've got, everybody's involved, state of Kansas, and so you've got to have a seat at the table when it comes to these metro area issues. And there's a couple different reasons for that. Is we need to ensure that Overland Park's priorities are reflected on these issues. While we're trying to strengthen the whole region, we got to make sure that we have a seat at the table. Not only do we need to be a partner in this, I think we can be a very influential partner. We can be a leader on these types of issues. So when we're talking about regional collaboration, we need to work with, beyond transportation, beyond Highway 69, public safety. We need to work with other police departments to ensure that not only is this community safe, but all the communities are safe. Working together is the only way to do that. And in terms of economic development, just to touch on one project, the Panasonic project, out in DeSoto, that was not just a project that was done from the perspective of DeSoto or the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce or the DeSoto City Council. That was a area-wide project that brought in that big project, one of the biggest developments in the state of Kansas. So I think Overland Park needs to be a player, needs to be at the seat at the table, and not only be there, I think it needs to be a leader there.
Alexandria, what is your philosophy on the role the city should play in terms of metro area issues?
Again, Overland Park is such an amazing place to live, and we have a lot of great leaders already in place, but I do agree with a lot of what Andrew just said. I think that we just need to ensure that we lead the conversation, right? We have all the tools in our toolbox to ensure that policies and issues that are reflective of the entire whole of Johnson County or looking at Kansas reflect our residents' needs in Overland Park, and that comes down to things as simple as bike paths and community safety and ensuring that, you know, we are able to have walkable distances and feel secure and safe in your neighborhoods and your parks. So I think building upon the level of communication and having a seat at the table and bringing people together, Overland Park can really move that needle forward by being the leaders that I think we already show ourselves to be in our local community.
Alexandria, do you believe the city is headed in the right direction?
You know, you want to say a simple, yes, everything's great, but it's a cautious yes. Right? We've touched so much upon today about the growth in Overland Park and how fast it's growing. And I think sometimes residents feel a little bit like you get whiplash when you look at this new project or you're driving down this street and all of a sudden you see this new building. But Overland Park, again, has done a great job so far in their strategic planning, and nothing is kind of done overnight. So I just want to ensure that the growth reflects the needs of the community and continue to ensure that residents don't feel left behind when they see new growth. So I think Overland Park has a lot of amazing opportunities coming down the pipeline. And again, that continuous growth that we're seeing in the community can make our community stronger, more diverse, and just still an amazing place to move here in high school and raise a family and put down real roots and be a place that you can call home. But again, cautious that we're moving in the right direction, but wanting to keep a hand on the wheel to ensure you don't go off the sidelines or run off the tracks.
And Andrew, same question for you. Do you believe the city is headed in the right direction?
You know, I really do believe that Overland Park is one of the best cities in America to live in, but there are a lot of pressures. There are a lot of growth pressures, there are a lot of infrastructure pressures, and a lot of regional competition pressures that do make this a little bit more difficult. You know, it could very easily derail. I do think we're headed in the right direction, but the chances of derailment could happen very easily if we're not on top of these issues and if we're not, you know, staying one step ahead of, you know, regional economic competition, staying one step ahead of infrastructure pressures. I do think that we need a sharper focus on core services, as I've mentioned. We need to, you know, focus on those core services to make sure that those aren't outpaced by the rest of the growth that the city is facing. We cannot grow too fast where we don't have enough police officers, we don't have enough fire capability, we don't have enough emergency response. All those things have to grow together, and it takes a keen eye to make sure that all that grows, you know, in the same bandwidth. We need to also, you know, focus on accountability, but I think we're on the right path. One thing that we may not be on the right path on is housing. Housing it's very difficult to figure out a place to live here. I think that there's this dream out there that if you raise a child, you put them through this Blue Valley School District, you send them off to college, they get a great major, they get a degree, and you say, hey, you know what, you've achieved the dream, you've made it, you've done everything that you want your student to do, and then they get a job here, but they can't live here. There's not a place for them to be. That's something that we're not necessarily on the right track on, and that's something that we've got to have, you know, diverse tools, unique tools to try to figure out how to solve that problem. But I do think with smart planning and collaboration, you know, we can make sure that we stay on the right track, and on certain issues, we get back on the right track.
Well, you both have been wonderfully succinct and certainly minding the timekeeper. We're here at our last question, and then we'll go to closing comments after that. We'll start with you, Andrew, for this last question.
Sure.
What do you believe makes you uniquely qualified to serve in this position and most distinguishes you from your opponent?
Well, thank you, Kevin. I do think that there are unique things that, as we're approaching these novel issues and these, pressures that I've talked about, that we do need some, real strong leadership on the Overland Park City Council. So I think that I bring a blend of professional and community leadership that I can bring. We can immediately have some impact. In my professional role, I serve as the Vice President and General Counsel for a financial services firm, headquartered here in Overland Park. And I've, have proven fiscal discipline in that role, balancing growth with accountability, balancing growth with compliance. And ultimately, in that role, the most success that we have had is when we brought people together to achieve those results. And I want to bring that to the Overland Park City Council. Additionally, my community experience, I serve on my HOA board, which it takes a special person to serve on an HOA board. I know that the smallest decisions that even organizations like that can impact how neighbors feel. But my experience in that is, if you bring them along, if you keep them well informed, if you let them know that at least you're acting in good faith and trying to make a good decision, they will come along with you even if they disagree. So I think that I've got that professional experience, that community experience, and most importantly, I think that I'm a neighbor first. I'm a neighbor who's willing to help out first. I'm committed to listening, engaging, and working collaboratively with the folks in Ward 5 and with the folks on the City Council. So I offer both that expertise professionally and deep community roots, and I think that I can bring real dependable leadership that Ward 5 can count on.
Alexandria, same question for you. What do you believe makes you uniquely qualified to serve in this position and most distinguishes you from your opponent?
Again, I've been a resident of Overland Park for over 2 decades, and I just truly believe that I have the bandwidth and the desire to put good out into the community. I feel like looking at the world these days, sometimes it just seems like this person doesn't like this group, or this group is fighting with this group. And I've really worked and collaborated on so many various situations in my professional and personal life that I feel like I can bring the people together and really be a bridge of positive enforcement moving forward and serving in leadership. My background is I work in corporate now, but I worked in nonprofits for a decade, and when you cut your teeth in a nonprofit theater where you have no resources, no time, everything is behind, just being able to handle those high pressure, high stress situations, I definitely have a lot of those tools in my toolbox. And again, just being someone who is still relatively young, but again, having that bandwidth and the need, I feel like these days you can also look and see who are our leaders, who is speaking up for me, and if anything, I hope to inspire young people to run for their local government. I hope that people engage more in their local government. Politics does not have to be a scary world. This is kind of, again, where the sauce gets made and the decisions that move our actual day-to-day lives forward matters. And so, again, I would just love to represent the people that are my neighbors, my friends, and my family in this amazing place that we call home in Overland Park.
Well, I want to thank you both for sharing your thoughts on these important issues that we covered today. We're now going to turn our attention to our closing comments. Reminder, you both will have 2 minutes, and based on our order, Alexandria, you're going to start.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much for attending this Monday afternoon, and thank you to everyone who will be watching. At the end of the day, my campaign isn't necessarily about politics. I'm not a career politician. I'm just a regular career lady who wants to put out good in her community that I love so much. It's about people. It's about making sure that our government reflects values, hopes, and concerns of the people, our neighbors who call Overland Park home. You know, I know the challenges we face: traffic, housing, rising costs. They don't have easy answers, but I do believe that leading with openness and transparency and working together, we can find solutions that will keep Overland Park moving forward, and not just for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 50 years down the future. And I think that we can do that without losing what makes Overland Park so special. So I am proud of myself for stepping up and putting my name forward. I believe that this community deserves leaders who care, who listen, who put residents above politics. So I feel like residents, my neighbors, my friends, my family, your voices matter, and they should truly stay at the center of every decision that the City Council makes. And then together we can ensure that Overland Park remains not just a great city, but a place where everyone feels welcome, valued, and proud to call home.
Andrew, your turn for closing statement.
Well, first of all, thank you to Kevin and thank you to the Overland Park Chamber of Commerce for putting on this important conversation. Thanks to everybody who showed up and the folks who are watching at home and for caring about the future of Overland Park. I have some notes that I was going to talk about, but I just wanted to tell this quick story about why I'm running. I'm on the HOA board, as I mentioned, and I was taking my young son Henry. We were going to go put up the garage sale signs for the neighborhood. There was the signs that said, garage sale this weekend, and I was taking him, hey buddy, we're going to go put these signs up. He said, why are we doing this? I said, well, I'm on the HOA board, and this is my responsibility to do that. He's like, well, why? Well, why? A lot of those why questions you get from, I think it was 5 at the time. If you ask why enough times, you get down to that real kernel of, core philosophy, core kernel of truth. And eventually I just told him, if you want to live in a nice place, it's important to be a neighborhood helper. And I think that that's what I'm going to try to do with this. I think we need to have, I think Overland Park should be a nice place. We need to have people step up and be a neighborhood helper. And so, initially I talked about, my vision for Overland Park. I think I have a vision for a place where families can feel safe in their neighborhoods, where businesses can thrive and invest and can grow, and we can call this a place to call home forever by having housing for everyone. But achieving that is not easy. It is very difficult. It takes strong leadership that balances accountability with growth and that delivers on the basics and ultimately puts community first. I bring that experience as the Vice President General Counsel of a financial services firm here. I bring that perspective as a community leader and neighborhood leader, and I bring that commitment as a parent raising the next generation here in Overland Park. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is about politics. It's about stewardship. It's about making transparent and smart decisions that keep Overland Park one of the premier cities to live in for years to come. So once again, my name is Andrew Payne. I think I can be a neighbor you can count on, and I'd be honored to earn your support. Thanks.
Well, I want to thank both of our candidates for participating in our forum and for your willingness to serve the people of Overland Park. We appreciate that. Let me remind the audience that's watching today, a copy of recording of today's forum will be posted on our website, along with candidate questionnaires that they both had the opportunity to answer and other election-related information. Again, that website is www.votejoco.com. And lastly, just want to remind everyone that advance voting in person begins on Saturday, October 25th. And of course, Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th, and want to encourage everybody to go out and vote for the candidate of your choosing. With that, we are adjourned.